Hey, everybody. Thank you for coming out. Thank you. Welcome to the Love Movement Podcast. I got a special guy here today, Charles Decuire, and we're gonna do a one-on-one with him about some things that he's trying to accomplish. We're gonna talk about the Democratic Convention. We're gonna talk about uh, bullying. We're gonna talk about a lot of things. But before I introduce him and get him on, I want to go over with my sponsors. And I got the Rhythm and Blues Cafe. Thank you, Rick Roy. Thank you, Denise Roy. Thank you, Dwight. We appreciate you guys sponsoring us, and they got a lot of things going on down there. They're doing some beautiful things. Mike Jones just had his party. His mom had her party down there the week before, and they're open for parties. They're open for a lot of different things, birthday parties, whatever. And they got great food. Also, did you hear they're going to Soldier Field? They got a new, they got a spot at Soldier Field. So we're excited about what they're doing. We appreciate your sponsorship. Also, Greg at Casa de Pores in Maywood, they do all kind of events too. Have live music, cigars smoking, and lockers and everything. So you guys should get down there on First Avenue and make sure you get you part of that program. And then we also have the Chicken Wang Kang, Trevor Black, the Chicago Chicken Shack in Broadview. Go over there and get you some fresh chicken. They cook it fresh over there. It's real fresh. And when I go over there, I just sit down at the table. I don't even take it home. I eat it right there. Then one of our new sponsors also is Stacy's Cafe in Bellwood on Manheim and Wilcox in Bellwood. And they have an excellent menu. They have specials daily as well. I had the what's that, Oyster Rockefeller last time I was there. So they have a lot of events. And then we also got our main stage, the Blue Note. The Blue Note is they offer repasses and different birthday parties and different kind of events there too. So you want to give them a call. And then we have Violet Shy, the black owned dispensary here in Broadview, and they're special. They have a special every day. They talk about well, they don't talk about it. They say let's get come and say hi, and I ain't talking about waving your hand. They want you to get some of those products, and they have a different special every day. So it's a beautiful thing. And then we have the View. The View last night they had a seafood boil, lobster tails, they had gumbo, they had. I mean, they do it on on the level that a lot of people got to come in and see it for themselves because it's a good thing, and this is their 1 year anniversary. Uh, so we're gonna definitely support all of these different locations. And then we had, a lot of things that was going on this week. Were you able to attend some of the like the air and water show and
No, when the Air and Water Show, I was actually in D.C., but I went before I left. I went to the Bellwood Fest, stuff like that.
you know yeah
Yeah, but when the Air and Water Show was going on, I went to D.C. To the Department of Justice, but I went to the Bellwood Fest before that. Just been really working, man, and grinding.
Well, see, and that's what we're gonna talk about because brothers in your position are not doing some of the things that you're doing, and I see that you're affiliated with the Black Men United and a couple of other groups, but what you do is very special. So, but yeah, we had Denise and the Rhythm and Cafe people here last week, and we had a good fest. I went to the Bellwood Fest on Friday. A lot of people said it was good on Saturday and Sunday with the bands, the Sunshine Band and Ronnie G, and they had a good time. But what you think about these? When we was out there at the fest, what about these new bugs, man? That's biting, man.
And I seen you, it got bit. I was like, man, what's going on? But a lot of people, it's been on the news, WGN, man. Ain't no telling, man.
Ain't no telling, huh? I don't know. I don't trust nobody, man. They could have fed these bugs some garbage, and they could get out here. But they had the Bud Billiken parade. They had the air and water show, uh, and I got bit up, and then I went to do my research and found out. Uh, Chucky Burrell, she put it out that they were mites, and they were feeding off the eggs of cicadas, and they're biting people, and it's terrible. I was at Walgreens today, and there was a line of people just trying to get the medicine, the medication for it. So it's it's something special. And then we're going to talk about also the Democratic National Convention with Kamala Harris being the first, uh, possibly the first black female president. So, but I'm gonna get right to the meat and bread. Right to the meat and bread. Charles Decuire, listen, you came up on the west side of Chicago.
Originally from west side of Chicago, 3810 West Ohio, Hamlin, Ohio. Um, my parents moved me out to Maywood, Proviso Township area at an early age, but I kept my connection to the city back and forth from Chicago Avenue on Cicero. We run with the same,
Yeah,
some of the same people
we same
affiliated.
people, Benny Lee and all of them guys, and Puncho, all of those guys, and those are my friends. And I don't care what background they had, they still my friends. Matter of fact, we finna do the Clark Park reunion Saturday, so I'm gonna be up there with all of them because we love each other. I mean, hey, we went through what we went through, and some of us got out, some of us didn't, but that's life. You dig what I'm saying? So, Charles, listen, tell your story. Tell us who you are, where you came from, and how you got into what you're doing right now.
Well, I started, like I said, I'm from the west side. My parents moved to Proviso Township, but I was always faction enamored with the streets. I didn't have to be in the streets. Let's say that. My parents had good jobs. My father was an RN. My mother was an LPN at Madden Mental Health Hospital. My father always worked 2, 3 jobs, stayed, moving around, make sure we didn't hurt for nothing. But my infatuation with the streets drove me to the streets. I ended up um,
It was a
becoming.
choice.
It was a choice. I ended up becoming a Cicero Insane Vice Lord. Um, I moved up through the ranks kind of young, hang with people that was older than me, and end up getting into the drug game. End up going to state prison, been to federal prison. But before I even went to do my Fed bit, I had really started doing the work. But one thing about doing this work at the time when I first started doing violence prevention, what is called CVI, not community violence intervention, was the work wasn't sustainable. So like we'll be working, and then after the end of the fiscal year, and we wasn't always implemented in the budget, even though our community needed this type of work desperately. And the only way you could even do this work is being a credible messenger. Not just saying that you had to be just as involved to do this work, but you really had to have passion for the people, caring about what's going on. I was once part of the problem. Now I want to be part of the solution. And I'm real passionate about trying to save young people's lives, our community's lives, because, violence isn't just the shooting and killing. It's all type of violence that we deal with, the systematic racism, the structural violence, the unfair shakes that our people get, man, just from we not allotted the same opportunities that other races are, and we been behind the 8 ball for so long. So I'm big on equity. So people talk about equality, but if they give everything the same right now, we so far behind, we still be behind. So you got to give people as needed. That's where equity come in at. And I mean, I'm big on that. I done bumped my head enough times for these shorties, man. That just watch me. If you see the same trap or you see the same thing in place that man could take you down, and you seen that it took me down, walk around, find another avenue. It's other ways, man, to get to where you're trying to get to, man. The drug game, the street game, man, these guns and all this stuff that's on the street, man, it's gonna lead you, man, to the penitentiary, or they got a casket for you.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that. Uh, like I said, some of us, we got away, and some of us we didn't get away. And you spent your bit, and you did your federal time. Tell the kids what you don't want them what you don't want to see them do, as far as going to jail and how that lifestyle is being in jail on a state level and then on a federal level.
First, let me say this about jail. People, man, they glorify jail, or you hear the guys come home from jail, and we are thinking it's so misconstrued because when I come home from jail, my guys had a bag waiting on me. They hit me. Car, I didn't have to buy nothing, whatever. It's like I went to college, like I was being celebrated. But these young men out here, man, who graduate from school, they struggling when they come home. Ain't nobody got no bag waiting for them, or nothing positive, no positive reinforcement for the stuff that they done did. So our morals and the way we look at things is twisted as a people. But like I say, man, they glorify how jail is, but they don't tell you about the 23-1 where you just confined to a cell for 23 hours out the day, or 18-6 if you're in a medium, or how they treat your family members when they come to visit like they criminals. You know, your family got to answer the phone. Your family tearing the roads down to come see you. You just don't affect yourself with the choices you make. Your family's affected. Your kids are affected. They're growing up without a father. Your daughters are growing up without a father. Your son is nobody to show them how to be a man there. So it's a lot of stuff, man, they don't tell you about when they go to. They don't tell you about when they have to strip search. You got to spread your ass cheeks for these people, man, to go up on a visit. They don't tell you, man, how you got to turn your back and, man, put the curtain up, man, so your celly could wash up and take shower. Well, you got to smell this man taking a dump while you in the cell with him. I mean, it's raw and uncut, man. They don't show that part of it, or they don't show, man, that you might not make it home from prison, but what people that got stabbed up or died or end up getting killed in prison, right? They don't show you that part of it. You know, we got a brother named Benny Lee, man, who was, man, a part of the Pontiac 21. I mean Pontiac 17, and it's just these people, man, ended up on death row, end up on, housed on death row, man, for officers getting killed and all type of stuff, man. But they don't show you that side of it. Well, man, you got to shower with other men. You got to do all this stuff, man. You dehumanize, man, to a point where you should never want to have to go back to jail. But then that's on the state level. Now you go to the Bureau of Prisons, to the BOP. It's something that they call the coalition, especially for the city of Chicago, the Midwest Coalition or the Chicago Coalition, because you might end up in New York. You might end up on the East Coast. You might end up in Victorville. You might end up in Terminal Island in California. You might end up somewhere where you don't know nobody. As DC guys, man, they like savages in there because there's no county jail in DC, so they everywhere. And you with a melting pot of people from the worst of the worst from all over the country. So in order for people, man, to even survive or to get on the right page from the Midwest, was like, well, look, same people that you was beefing with, you might have been trying to shoot or kill, they was trying to kill you. Y'all got to come together, man, as a coalition. The BDs, the Travelers, the GDs, the Vice Lords, whatever the case may be, Latin Kings, the Latin folks, for people, man, to be able to survive and make it in there. So that's, what I'm saying, that sparked part of the idea for my brother Terry Young, John Harrell, and Crushing that created Black Man United. I'm saying I'm not a part of Black Man United, but I love their movement. You know what I'm saying? Just the stuff that they do. It's so many different community violence intervention organizations around here. The organizations I represent is Metropolitan Family Services, the Metropolitan Peace Initiative, and we're a collaboration of CVI organizations all over the city of Chicago, where we have 28 communities that we cover, and we have 17 to 18 different CVI organizations, but we collaborate. We come up with citywide calls on Tuesdays and Fridays to go over the different violence, because the violence, man, it got so crazy, and the weaponry got so crazy. These guys, man, they really got a machine gun in their pocket.
Right.
These switches, they just
Right.
showed, YouTube and this content is so accessible, it's driving the violence to an astronomical rate, man. We 2.7 million people in the city of Chicago, but we got like 3 or 4 times the amount of violence and homicides than New York. It's damn near 9 million people in New York.
Yeah, and I mean it's so real with me as you speak, because on them same streets I went to grammar school with Benny Lee. I went to grammar school with Willie Cage. I went to, we all came up in the same neighborhood. I stayed on Congress and Cicero. They stayed on Cicero and Van Buren, and we all AJ, all of them. And at that time, you had to be connected in order to be protected. You dig what I'm saying? Because it was real, and what we went through, and everybody, 70% of the people on the west side of Chicago, in some way or another, was connected to drugs. I don't care how it was, whether you used it, sold it, or you knew somebody that did it. I had two of my best friends, Fred McGee and Barry Morris, that both died as intravenous drug users, and they shot drugs in their arms, but they were my friends, and they never introduced me to that part. So it's tough. Now you in these streets, you on Cicero, you in Maywood, you all of this or whatever the case might be. w- you've been to the penitentiary, you've been to the Fed joint. What was your change of heart? What happened that you changed your heart?
To be honest, um, this last bit, my worst fear happened when I was incarcerated. I remember when I was getting sentenced in front of Judge Lefko. Um, my grandmama, was up there in age in her 90s, and I knew it was a possibility that my grandmama would be gone when I come home. I turned myself in June 1st, 2017. February 21st, 2018, my grandmama died. My mother, she also suffers from MS. So I got to be there for my mother. I got to be there for my kids, my daughters. And, sometimes they get mad at me because I run the streets so much trying to, you know, do the work that I do because I'm so passionate about keeping our kids safe. Because I keep my kids, they grew up, they didn't come past Kingery. They grew up in the suburbs. I didn't want, my kids the best of schools. All of them graduated from school, college. My little baby uh, just made a first day as a sophomore. And sometimes they be mad because I be doing so much. And, it's hard to keep a balance. But I love my kids dearly. I love my grandkids dearly. But I just want other people's kids to be able to have the same opportunities and stuff that my kids have, and be able to play safe in front of their neighborhoods, in front of their houses. It's just a shame, man, that 5-year-olds getting killed. A 13-year-old just got killed a couple of days ago getting robbed for iPhone up north. 7-year-old was killed in St. Stevenson's not too long ago. The Memorial Day weekend, the 5-year-old baby, man. 3-year-old baby got shot. 5-year-old baby got shot at 3 o'clock in the morning. So, man, this stuff that happens out here, man, these kids, man, not safe. Why kids and elderly people, man, who done worked all their life for their house and stuff, can't sit on their porches comfortably without the worry about gunshots, whatever the case may be, or a gunshot coming through their window, or somebody sliding because they associate a group of kids or a group of individuals standing on the corner as somebody else, and that might even be affiliated with what's going on in that block. Man, our streets is crazy, man, and the violence is just ridiculous. And I want our kids, our community, and the people we trying to serve, man. It's about changing the mindset of our people, man. And if we can
Thought
change,
process is very important, my brother. Thought process is very important. A lot of people used to come up to me, man. You the police? When I was first became the police, you the police? But I wanted to help my people because my people were struggling, and they were in a system that they didn't understand. So when I became a police officer, I just wanted to share information and make sure that they understood they had other avenues. Now that's the same thing that you're doing. How did you get into your program, the prevention program? And tell us about what you do.
um, well, I got into violence prevention, man, by my brother, man. He no longer here, man. Carl Goody Bell, first cousin to AJ, Lawrence C, Godfather,
Booker,
Hank, man, Willie Booker.
Willie Booker, all of them. Yeah.
So
They used to be the Seven Hoods, Jive Five. All of them guys grew up under the viaduct, and they came out west to Cicero.
most definitely,
Andy Roof.
most definitely the Seven Hoods. Willie Booker's sister, Linda Sue Sutton, all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Them my people. They, like adopt me like family.
Yes.
So the thing about getting into violence prevention, Goody was doing it. This one, it was just one organization, which was Ceasefire at the time, and this was like 2008, and there was so much stuff going on. Like, I'm getting tired of running the streets. I'm getting tired of the stuff that's going on. So I'm like, man, give me a job, bro. He's like, man, you ain't ready, man. You still doing what you doing. I'm like, man, for real, give me a job. He said, all right, I'm gonna throw you a lifeline. You know what I'm saying?
Don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up. And I fell in love with the work. But like I say, man, it was the work was unsustainable at the time. So when the work would go down, I still had to pay my bills. So I resorted to what I knew best. And that's what led me to being federally incarcerated. But if it weren't for Carl Bell, I wouldn't be in this position. I wouldn't be doing this work. Fast forward, I had another opportunity. Goody died in 2015. The funding that's dried up for ceasefire in 2015 when Governor Rauner was in office. Another opportunity came in 2016. An organization called the Institute for Nonviolent Chicago came from the East Coast by somebody named guy named Tenny Gross from Providence, Rhode Island. And he came with this program and gave me an opportunity in 2016. I ended up having to turn myself in for federal prison in 2017. But when I came back in 2017, he liked my work ethic. He knew I was passionate about the work. I told him, man, it was just an old case, man, that came back to bite me. And he gave me an opportunity. I came home September 1st, 2020. And I was working November 1st, 2020. So he gave my job right back. He stayed in contact with me the whole time I was gone. Made sure I had my job when I came up. Fast forward from that, about 5.5 months later, I was the supervisor for the Austin team for the Institute for Nonviolent Chicago. I went through amazing training through Metropolitan Family Services, and they had an academy called the Metropolitan Peace Academy, where we trained all the outreach workers all over the city of Chicago. We got close to like 500 graduates that came through our academy since its inception in 2017. Got a visionary by a lady named by Dr. Vanessa Perry DeReef. Her vision was the academy. We got a strong leader by a brother named Yvonne Bryant, who's the ED for the Metropolitan Peace Initiative. I ended up going through they made me go through the academy. It was like an 18-week curriculum, 18-week training, twice a week for 18 weeks. And when they first man, you got to go do this training, like 18 weeks. I'm like, 18 weeks? That's a long time. But the first day, Dr. Vanessa, she was at the academy, and her energy and her was so infectious that I was hooked ever since I was, thought of everything I thought I knew about violence prevention and CVI work. I learned so much, and it taught me so much. I was all in. And then after my 18-week training, they asked me if I was interested in working for the Metropolitan Peace Initiative. And I became a field manager for Zone 4, which is the Austin community, East Garfield Park, West Garfield Park, near West Side, the New Haven community by the Henry Horners and the Rockwell.
Okay.
So I offer technical support to violence prevention organizations, but it's so many people, man, that's so strong in this work. The thing about it is when people, man, trying to make decisions about what's going on and what's good for our neighborhoods, the people who are actually affected by what's going on in our neighborhoods aren't at the table or not involved. And that's a disservice and an injustice, really. We got a saying at the academy, people who do the work shall lead the work. So we creating leaders through a network of different organizations from all over the city of Chicago. It's not a community we can't touch. Through phone calls, through networking, through our relationships from people being incarcerated before and, befriending these guys and becoming friends and having relationships outside of. So like if And we know now that violence really has no boundaries because of social media. There's so many different dynamics that's causing the violence in our neighborhoods and why our kids are dying. And we got these agitators on social media who throw the rock and hide their hand. And then the technology is so easy for these guys. If you into it, you could just be in the car and they might see their opposition, what they call when they call them ops. Send a text, man. He right here in this car. He on Cicero and Jackson. He in the blue, whatever the case may be, and guys able to come and slide right then. So, and then these guys dropping their locations, and it's really, man, that our kids, man, don't have no direction and have no value of what life really is. And some of these guys, man, they think in some twisted way that being shot or killed or put on somebody's t-shirt makes them immortal and they live forever. So these cliques steady getting morphed into something else without the structure that's going on. I mean, the structure that once was involved with the gangs or whatever. We know in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the jails ran the streets. Now it's no structure in the jails. When they dismantled and sent everybody to federal penitentiary and people had no contact and they lost the stronghold of what's going on. So now we got a city full of outlaws and nobody's being held accountable for the stuff they do. Like stuff that happened like in the Greens or like with Girl Lex and stuff like that. You had to pay for that type of stuff coming through them jails. You couldn't have them type of crimes and do stuff like that to a kid, man, and like
and live in that jail.
And you couldn't survive in there like that. So we done lost all these contributing factors to what's going on. Then when they shut the projects down, these are also contributing factors of what go on in our
Push
neighborhoods.
everybody
Because
out
now
here.
you done displaced all these people, and now they forced to come live somewhere else, and it messes up the natural order of the communities. And you're gonna tell these guys, that that's forced to live here now that they can't eat, or they can't do this, or they can't be part and partial. No, that's gonna cause conflict. That cause gunplay. That cause killing. So a lot of this stuff, man, is been designed systematically.
Now, you you are part of a powerful structure right here in Chicago, from the streets to the structure. You're a part of a powerful thing. You, Benny Lee, my brothers Antoine Day, Derek Day, they are into these programs as well. But tell us about how the connection is. I mean, I know Universal Elites. I know brothers that then went and got jury back for actors and ball players and the whole nine yards. These are the people that protected my kids on the street, because the street talk is a whole different program. Uh, and these brothers, they come to me, what you need, and they call me pops. I don't know, they bought my they not too far younger than me, but they call me pops. What you need, pops? And we would talk about things, man. Tell us how it is when you go to different states and across the country, and you talking to brothers of another struggle that's doing it in that state. How is that? What kind of experience is that?
Well, that's another structured another academy, and from a strong brother, man, named Dr. Chico Tillman. He created a network, a leadership academy for people, man, not just to be outreach workers or boots on the ground, but he created a leadership academy to create EDs and people to have their own programs.
EDs, explain us to
Executive directors.
Okay.
Their own programs, or have their own programs, create their own programs, man, what the back office work look like, what the funding sources look like, and the dynamics of violence. A lot of states had violence, but the dynamics of the violence be different. I happened to be in New York last month, and we did like a immersive project where we just immersed ourselves into New York, all 5 boroughs, how other organizations do the work, trying to learn the best practices, something that we might get implemented in our programs, or a lot of these programs that's on the East Coast and all over the country started with people from Chicago who trained them. Brother named Kobe, brother named Tim White who did trainings, a brother named Mark McAllister who's strong and he's with the this Community Violence Intervention Leadership Academy, which is ran through the University of Chicago. He's the dean of students for that, and one of the best trainers I've ever seen, man. Dr. Chico Chillman, man, just strong, man, just advocating for the work, man. He got people, man. Uh, when we say, man, people who do the work shall lead the work, that's a prime example of what we're talking about. Um, Dr. Chico Tillman, man, been in federal penitentiary too. He started the ceasefire with us. You know what I'm saying? Used to be part and parcel. He was a folk on the hustler before. You know what I'm saying? So these are brothers, man, who have been through the struggle, who've been through the fire, who know exactly what the community needs, and trying to develop future leaders, man, and a farming system for, you know what I'm saying? Because we ain't gonna be able to be doing the same work all this time and all this time. And sometimes we get outdated. So we got to have people, man, ready to come off the bench for future leaders, man, to keep this work alive or eventually grow us out this work, because this work really needs to be attacked twofold. We got people that's already in the streets, and that's really intervention. But if we really trying to be preventative, we need to deal with these kids, man, at an early age. We implementing positive stuff into their psyche where they won't even come off the porch, where they doing the right thing in the beginning. So, man, my hope and dream one day is, man, we don't need CVI work no more. Give me something else to do.
Right, and that's important. I It's a brother named Geronimo Pratt, and he made a quote one time that's very important. It always stick with me because I did.
Black Panther Party.
Yeah, I did my thesis on the COINTEL program when I was getting my master's from Lewis University, and he said that black men are unjustly incarcerated. So the only place for a black man is to be incarcerated, and it made so much sense. But you had to think about it. It's the only place for a just man is to be incarcerated, and it was like, because we unjustly incarcerated, so the just man is in jail. And it made so much sense. And after you thought about it, and you are in that position, like right now, school is finna start. And bullying is a big thing in school right now. Do you guys have any kind of programs that you work with the kids for bullying? Do you go into the schools? How does that work?
Um, Really, man, for this to happen, for you to get into the schools, especially with our backgrounds, the bureaucracy is so difficult. You just got to really have those relationships with superintendents or the principals. And principals, man, a lot of principals, especially in the urban communities, man, welcome our presence. Um, even
They better.
like school just started back with Proviso East and Proviso West, and Black Man United had a presence there. Um, so most definitely is needed for safe passage, man, because there's so much stuff, man, and we trying to be preventative. We got to be on the page where we not being so reactionary to stuff after something that happened. Then we got to come and clean up the mess. If we there already boots on the ground, um, before the problem even start, man, we can prevent a lot of stuff, man, from a lot of shootings, a lot of conflicts, a lot of stuff, man, and just mentoring programs, man. Because another thing, man, another form of violence, man, is the school to prison pipeline. I went to Alta. I'm a person, man. I went to St. Eulalie at first, so then end up in Lindop. Then I end up going to Joe's, get kicked out of Joe's. I go to East, get kicked out of East, go to Prove, but those alternative schools are like prerequisites for the penitentiary.
Pace. I was as a police officer. I'll be honest with you. I didn't like Pace, and I didn't like the principal because you would call us after you didn't put that kid in that padded cell, and then you call us and you want us to lock him up. You just introduce him to the game, to the penitentiary.
Just introduce them to SEG. You just introduce them to isolation.
You see what I'm saying? So, and I had a problem with that, and that was probably one of the reasons why me being a police officer, I didn't agree with all your system. I didn't agree with everything you were because I came from the streets, and some of these brothers that were in the streets that selling drugs or whatever the case might be, I'd rather pull their drugs out than to lock them up. Because if I lock you up now, you got another case. You got another set of problems. You can't vote. You can't. It's a lot of things that you can't do. So I didn't believe in all of that. Lock them up. I cuss you out, talk to you, sit you down, whatever the case might be. But if you ran your mouth, then you put yourself in jail. It wasn't none of me. But at the end of the day, I looked at the system. I had brothers like Corey Cooper, David Gould, Larry Connor, Sonia Horn, and we looked at the system a little different. We wanted to help you more than we wanted to hurt you.
And that's the problem right now. Like far as that's something that this community was blessed with, to see officers or whatever that look like them. Now in the city, you don't see officers that look like them. You know, from it's a different animal, man. From certain shifts, man, from 3 to 11 and 11 to 7 in the morning. That's a different animal. You got people, man, that's coming that's not vested in our community, that don't look like us. They coming out there to buzz heads. They trying to do other stuff or whatever case may be. Or but stuff is being with the CVI. The relationship between that and law enforcement has gotten better, because first it was just that they thought we was just hugger thugs or guys who, man, really wasn't trying to make a change or make a difference. But now we really out here boots on the ground and got these relationships. Anything, you can't do any of this work, man, without the relationships. And I don't want nobody to get anything misconstrued. It's a professional understanding with law enforcement and CVI. We don't share information. We don't. It's not our job to solve crimes. We try to prevent retaliations from shootings, and we try to prevent shootings on the front end.
And I got my brother Twan. He goes to the Chicago Police Academy, and he talked to the new cadets and the new people that's coming in, and tell them how the streets are, and they got to make an adjustment. But see, we're systematically displaced. So until we get that right, until we figure out how we want to do what we need to do, we need to find some leaders, some real leaders. Now, I got you on the show because I feel you're a leader. When I see you in DC, when I see you in New York, and I see you in California, and you spitting game and you giving these people knowledge of how it works in Chicago, and you learning how it works in other states, and that's powerful information because a lot of people don't have that. And like I say, school is starting now. We had this bullying stuff that's going on, but they've changed the game with social media about the bullying and all that. Because now I see a lot of kids committing suicides and stuff like that. How do you deal with that?
Man, the bullying is most definitely huge, and um, sometimes kids could be cruel, and appearance and perception is everything. You know what I'm saying? Kids could, they don't know that um, they might be pushing somebody to they limit to where they ready to kill themselves because they not accept, they don't have the latest shoes, or their parents not able to do, but they probably doing the best that they can. But kids, like to tease, they like to uh, you know, talk about people's shoes, or you got these on, or what I'm saying, you see the hit on social media all the time. What are those? Looking at their shoes, and but that's, you don't know what a person is going through, or what the household is what their household is like, and we really got to pay attention to the signs, because before uh, a person, man, really commits suicide, man, it's signs before that. But we see kids, man, coming in with uh,
Cutters.
yeah, the cutters. They wearing thermals or hoodies. It's 110 degrees outside. That's a sign either some abuse is going on, or they cutting themselves, or they self mutilating. Um, they being teased, or it's something, man. It's we got to get to the root cause of what's going on. And we got to pay attention to our kids. We got to pay attention to what it is that's going on in their life, and we got to be parents and not trying to and stop being friends, knowing what kind of content they listen to, what kind of music they listen to, what's going on, or the signs of depression. We got to really pay attention to that. And, as school teachers and stuff like that, they mandated reporters. Anybody that's dealing with like DCFS organization stuff, they mandate reporters. So we got to, man, pay attention to what's going on. But then also, man, besides, if they don't harm themselves or kill themselves, this could possibly lead to mass shootings and a lot of people getting killed because these people been bullied or been mistreated so bad that they at their wits end. So it's a lot of dynamics to the violence, man, and the bullying. We just really, man, got to be hands on and really pay attention to our kids and whatever the case may be, man, dealing with, the trauma, a lot of stuff, man. We got to look at stuff through a trauma informed lens, because a lot of kids, or our kids dealing with this stuff, to going to school, have been traumatized so bad and don't really realize they've been traumatized, or that they've been dealing with trauma, or ACEs, adverse childhood experience. You don't know if it's been abuse at the crib. You don't know if it's drug abuse at the house. They haven't seen nobody really teaching them how to go out to what a work ethic look like, the points of education. If your uncles or your parents is burning holes in the couch because they died like this, or they got the needle in their arm, kids, man, gonna make their way the best way they know how. And we asking grandmas and stuff to raise kids, or if they parents are either incarcerated, or father gone, or dead, or in jail. It's a lot of different dynamics, man. We don't know what these kids look like, and we got to really, man, get back to, man, it takes a village to raise a child. When something happens to a kid, man, everybody should feel some type of way. Everybody is bound by cords to every other living thing, man. So if you don't feel some type of way when a kid die or a person die, man, we done got so numb and so
Used to it.
used to it.
Yeah.
And it's and we should it shouldn't be that way, man.
Yeah.
It should
It
never
shouldn't
be
be
that
that way. And then this is I'm learning, and because every day you're supposed to learn something. Now we have Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
She's running for president of the United States.
A big
And
supporter of this work too, I may add.
okay, and bless her heart. But why do brothers and sisters find a way to dog them out? Dog out the ones that's trying to make it. We always find a way. Now I'm a fan of Umar Johnson, but he's dogging Kamala out. A few other black leaders are dogging her out. Why is that? That's one of the problems that I have with a whole lot of people. Hey, you could you could have your opinion, but don't dog her out. I mean, it's tough. It's just like with Joe Biden and Trump running against each other. This probably was going to be the first election I wouldn't have voted for neither one of them, because there's no uh,
Do we really have a choice?
lesser evil. You dig what I'm saying? It's no lesser evil. Both of you rotten, and that's in my opinion. So at the end of the day, Biden had just as much on him as her. They're accusing her of locking up brothers or whatever the case might be when she was a prosecutor or whatever. But this is a young lady that's running for the presidency of the United States. Shouldn't we support her? That's just like with you. If you coming out the penitentiary, the federal and the state, and then I'm gonna dog you out instead of supporting you. That I don't see that part of it. Now I'm not saying that she the best person in the world. They talking about her ethnicity and her being an Indian and being black, and what difference do it make? At the end of the day, she's running for the presidency of the United States. So when we get all of these people that we should think that should be for us and they go against you, how does that work in your game?
One thing I know for sure, man, no matter what you do, it's always gonna have you're gonna have your naysayers. It's gonna be somebody, man, who's gonna try to pull you down or dog you out. They talked about Jesus Christ, man. So um, these people, man, are doing the best they can. It's really just up to that individual, man, that the voters. There's no reason for you not to have information or be able to do your homework. We do homework on everybody else, on the stuff that means nothing. On we could tell you anything about entertainers, or anything about rappers, anything, but we need to really dig into where a person's stance is, what's their track record, what's their record of, or what's their politics. But then we also got to, man, implement, what it is our agendas is, what it is we want people to do, and we got to hold our politicians accountable, not just at the presidential election or the presidential level, but man, really the people, man, who the decision makers and the lawmakers are the senators and the Congress.
Local,
Those
state, and federal. Yeah.
those are the people, man, the movers and shakers, man, the really the career politicians. 40 and 50, man. We didn't watch Mitch O'Connell. We didn't watch Joe Biden. We didn't watch all these people, man, age right in front of our eyes. I've been watching these people since I was a kid. Since I was in grammar school, they've been in politics.
Yes, they have, man, and that's why I love our politicians here. Maywood has one of the strongest political organizations as far as state
State
senator, and we got
Speaker of the
Chris
House.
Welch, we got Speaker of the House, we got all of these people. We had Gene Moore that really came through. We had all of these people. We had Karen Yarbrough and they came from right here in this community. And now we have a beautiful thing with the all of the 5 black mayors in the area of from Forest Park to Maywood to Broadview to Bellwood, and we got what Westchester has black politicians now, and it's good to have, but they need support.
Most definitely.
They need support, and man, listen, I appreciate you. I
Appreciate you.
really do, for sharing your story, telling everybody, how it is, and it's not easy on these streets. Like I said, hey, some of us we got a chance and we got to wait, but the difference was we want to change. We didn't want to stay the same. We didn't want to do the same things. We didn't want to stay in those streets because we knew what the struggles were, and once you understand that what that struggle is, it's different.
Most definitely. We got to get some, man. We trying to get people, man, to walk away from something, man, that they've been a part of all their life, or been brainwashed into thinking this what it is. But we also got to have something tangible, and got to build relationships with the Department of Labor, Education Department, showing kids, man, that everybody's not gonna be academians or graduate with masters or PhDs. We need people, man, that have tangible skills, tradesmen, vocationals, whether it's carpentry, whether it's painters. Man, these are skills that pay the bills.
And that's DLD. DLD is doing things like that with Denar Wade and Lathan Scott and Wanda Wade. They're doing things like that for kids to show them a different skill set. I would say I went down to what is that? Wilma's on Wabash and 17 North Wabash, Wilma's restaurant, and they had robots running around. We have to understand that concept because pretty soon they're going to take your position. They're going to take another person's position. Bringing in the immigrants, okay, hey, we want to help everybody we can. But at the end of the day, you got to look at the political part behind it because they're going to do cheap labor. They don't have a visa or green card or whatever the case might be. So they're going to be able to hire for cheap labor. So it's a lot of things that we need to get into, and especially on the political side.
And going to add to the violence in the neighborhoods, because another mentioned up the natural order thing, but now we fighting for resources and the jobs. So
and that's what it's all about. So, but we got to understand the political side, and I want to thank you, man, for coming and sharing your story with us, Charles. I look up to you. You might be young, but I look up to you because you're doing what we need to be doing. You're doing everything that you're putting people in a position to be successful, and you're recognizing the kids that are systematically displaced, and you giving them a helping hand. That's a beautiful thing for us because here at my show is that you treat people the way you want to be treated, and you never give up. So give us some parting shots about what the parents should do and recognizing their kids and the red flags and stuff. Tell us some things that we should look out for.
remember first and foremost, y'all parents. We're not their friends. We're not their peers. When I was at my mother's house, whatever I brought in there was free game. Whatever I had under my mattress, man, go, man, be nosy. Go on your kids' stuff, man. See what's going on. Do you pay the bills there, not them? Once you find out, man, or you see the signs, or the tattoos, or the disobedience, or the lack of respect, or the people that they hang around with, um, man, intervene. You know, do. Not saying, man, you can't control them or run, uh, be with them all the time, but man, we got to, man, pour them at an early age first and foremost. And then the ones who already, man, don't give up hope on your kids. Don't throw your kids out. Don't put your kids out on the street, because at least you see where he at, man. He got to come home and lay there, man. We're not trying to go see our kids in the morgue. You don't want your kids, man, down in the penitentiaries. You don't want your kids, man, being found on the street with the yellow tape. You got to, it's serious, man. You got to really be hands-on, and you got to, man, give respect, but you also, man, I did what I was told when I was younger, man. Not what you know.
To a certain extent.
No, but I, regardless of what I did, man, in the streets, I didn't, you know, I respected my mother, I respected my parents. You know, I knew that they had my best interests at heart, whatever it was that was going on, whatever I did. But man, we got to be hands-on with our kids, man. We got to, man, give them opportunities. We got to give them where you got to talk to your kids, man. We got to bring supper back.
There you go. Choices and consequences. So you have a choice, you have consequences. We want to thank all our viewers and everybody that support us, all our sponsors. We really, really appreciate you guys. And I really, 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 really appreciate Charles because he brought the knowledge here tonight. And you know, hey, if you go that route and you trying to get back, he got the formula. So to everybody, as we say all the time, treat people the way you want to be treated and never give up. This is the love movement. Hey, girls, Toya Capri.
Turn up with best friends. All till we follow, she won't do.